Alright, what is up everyone? Z-Man at the Z channel. And so jumping right into it, I'm going to get into the Japanese genre of martial arts. Now the Japanese martial arts, as you can see, sort of, I have a large pile of different aspects of the Japanese genres, and some of it's Okinawans, some of it's straight Japanese, and then some of it's from people that have gone and trained over in Japan and then brought their art back to their respective country. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into this starting off, because there's a lot of material to go over. So Yosaiken Budo traditional. So one of the first DVDs that I had got after the book that I had gotten after Wing Chun, I got into a lot of the Japanese arts. I got into Krav Maga, as my other videos stated, but I really got heavy into the Japanese arts. Like I was taken away just by the lethal cunning of all of it. And I should probably actually start with, let me see if I can find it. Actually, you know what, we'll get to it when I get to it. So anyway, this is one of the first ones that I got out of the series. And these guys, they go over a whole bunch of the Kobudo, and they do a lot of different techniques. They mix everything from Aikido to JiuJitsu to Iaido, Judo, and they really round all the arts together of the Japanese and Okinawan culture, and they put it all together, and it's a pretty cool DVD to learn from. It just has a lot of different techniques. Not really a seminar per se, but there's a lot of good stuff to learn, and I just really enjoyed learning from it. So I'll put that in the thing. All right, and then I had spoken before about Iaido. Okay, now Iaido itself is the art of the sword for it's kind of like Aikido in a way, but you're dealing more with the sword in this aspect. And I just want to make sure I got all the rest of these here. So when I learned from Shiashu Akeshi, when I say that this guy is a badass, and I mean extreme badass, I mean you give this guy a sword and you better watch out. Okay, I can't even express it enough just how badass this guy really is. The way that he teaches, the style, the technique, the seriousness, his footing, his preciseness, his control. I mean, it really, really is awesome to train. And so I got into this. This is a Shino Aikido Boken, or Aikido and the Boken. And Iaido kind of goes hand in hand with this. And you can see my pit bull got a hold of that part right there. That was about 3 years ago. He chewed the crap out of it, but it didn't ruin the DVD, thank God. So, but anyway, so Iaido, it's the art of the sword, and it's very lethal, very cunning stuff. Everything that you do, it's all about the draw. It's all about how you draw your sword, and in most cases, as soon as you draw your sword in a situation where another person has a weapon or another sword in this case, all on how you draw the sword, your angle of attack, everything. So basically it's like one draw and one depth move type kill. Okay, and that's what's cool about this stuff. And when we get into the Aikido part of it with the Shino Aikido, when you're using the Boken sword, it teaches you a lot of it, but it doesn't get into the lethal stuff, and this is where all the lethal stuff comes in, is right here. Okay, so here's the different volumes that he does. And I believe I have one more volume to get. This is the last one, the Advanced Special Train, but there's one more volume in here that he teaches, and it's just all really great stuff. I mean, everything that you learn, the different cutting techniques, like you can see here in this video, he's dropping a banana from here, he gets to here, and then he has the sword out and then takes it out, okay? And it's just one of those deals where he's so proficient in how he does his martial art. He's been doing it for years. He's like one of the last known real samurais, if you will, that's alive today. And his training is invaluable. He, in my opinion, is a grandmaster. I don't think he claims to be that, but he definitely is one of the best. And so like I said, Iaido, it's the art of unsheathing the Japanese sword, and there's so many different methods of the training and special techniques. And you just really have to study hard, and you train the footing, the the right angle to be at. You have to have your knees bent in certain ways. You have to have a certain width of draw space for when you draw your sword. And you're fast unsheathing your sword is the best way to put what Iaido is. And you're doing it to the point of where when you draw your sword, it's going to be a lethal draw. Okay, like you're taking off body limbs, taking people out. It's no joke. If you really want to learn about the sword, I recommend this guy. It is Tsuyoshi Akeshi. Okay, Tsuyoshi Akeshi. And in my opinion, he should be considered a grandmaster. The guy is, I mean, he really is a badass from everything that he's taught, okay? And then this is a little bit of history about Tsuyoshi Akeshi. He is a Japanese monk. And, so basically it's, the DVD itself is about the knowledge that he kind of goes over. And it's just basically like an experience of the living traditions and some of the rituals that they go through, and they do this in the landscapes that are like deep in Japan. And so, there's a lot of cool stuff about this video. It's nothing really geared towards martial arts. It's just more about him, his background, and how he came to be such a proficient swordsman. I mean, he's got to be one of the best swordsmen on the face of the earth, in my opinion. So. So that, yeah, there you go on that. That's the part of the sword stuff. And I got heavy into that. I still train this. It's a lot of fun to train Iaido, and I recommend that you all get into it, okay? Alright, so Budo, the art of killing. So when I lived in Denver, I first got into martial arts in about 2007. And I didn't have any instructors, but at the Denver Public Library, this and several other videos like about Aikido and sword fighting and Indonesian Salat or Indonesian Kuntal Salat was there, and I just got into this stuff, and I watched this video of Budo, the art of killing, and it basically, they just go over the entire Japanese, it's a docudrama, and there's a lot of really great stuff in there. They go over karate, judo, aikido, kendo, JiuJitsu, Kobudo, like so many different, things. It's such a big variety of the Japanese arts. And, if you have any kind of love for the Japanese arts, they go over a lot of material in here. It really is a fantastic buy. I was so happy with everything. I can't express enough that, it was just really one of the greatest inspirations that I had to get into martial arts, and that really geared me and got me going. And so when I saw it on DVD and not on VHS, when I saw it first, it was on VHS, but when I saw this, I had to get it. It's about 90 minutes running, definitely worth the watch. Good stuff to know about the Japanese arts. And let's keep going along here. So JiuJitsu, now obviously JiuJitsu has expanded and grown in several different fields, especially with the Brazilian, martial art taking shape. And so I really wanted to get into that. And I also just wanted to add a couple of other ones that are in here. And then I have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it is on loan to a friend right now. Otherwise, I would be putting that out there. But I wanted to hook him up. He really wanted to learn Jiu-Jitsu, and I had been training Jiu-Jitsu for a long time, and so I'll just show what I have. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that I have, it's about 23 volumes long, and it goes from the very beginning to the very end of everything with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but gearing more towards the Japanese part of Jiu-Jitsu. I got this video here. It's by Pedro de Bauza. He's a 6th Dan, and these are all basically combat techniques. Now, Jiu-Jitsu itself, obviously, it's all geared towards combat, but there's Jiu-Jitsu the sport, and then there's Jiu-Jitsu the combat. And that is what is the difference, because, instead of like going until you feel the tension, you go and you break the arm. You don't wait, you just boom and go, or you snap the neck, or you dislocate the shoulder, or the knee, or the foot, or whatever you're going for when you're doing your ground wrestling. And that's what a lot of Jiu-Jitsu is. It's a lot of ground fighting. There is definitely some stand-up hand-to-hand action, and there's some really great techniques in there. On this one, he just goes over most of his favorite ones. from the different locks and chokes, the different breaks. There's just a lot of confidence building that you can get from this series if you're already a skilled practitioner in jiu-jitsu, okay? So if you're checking it out, it's going to be Pedro I want to say de Baza, and it's all combat techniques on the ground. So really great stuff to learn, a whole lot of different angles and different ideas for, you know, affecting different jiu-jitsu techniques, okay? Now this one I got this early on. And the reason I got it is because it said forbidden techniques. And I didn't want to learn, you know, just jiu-jitsu by itself. I wanted to learn like what you're not supposed to do, because it's one thing to learn like your MMA structured type fighting. It's another to know what to do and how to do things that are messed up that is going to win you in a survival situation, okay? So this jiu-jitsu series, okay, you have two partners, and they're actually both under Bas Rutten. Everyone knows about Bas Rutten. He's an extreme badass. I mean, there's no getting around that, okay? So anyway, you have Michael von Ritt. He's a 4th Dan in judo and jiu-jitsu, a European world champion, and you know he's been an instructor in Pancras and also Penchaks a lot. And so he teaches all around the world. And him and his buddy Eric Garner, they came up with this. Eric Garner is he's an expert in China, which is, well, China Kamna is more of a Chinese style, but he's also a 2nd Dan in jiu-jitsu, and he's an instructor in Chinese boxing and Chai Ji Kwang, cane, stick, and knives. And then, you know, he's got a lot of different arts under his belt. But these guys came together and they made forbidden techniques of jiu-jitsu, and they go through and they just show you all kinds of just messed up stuff to do that you would not be able to get away with in regular MMA type structured fighting. But if it's coming down to self-defense, survival, no holds barred, you know, there's no law and order in the world anymore, this is the stuff you want to learn how to do, because it's going to incapacitate your opponent forever. I mean, you're gonna put them out, okay? So whether you choke them, you break them, you snap their knee, their foot, their toes, their fingers, their neck, whatever, they teach it in this DVD, okay? So Eric Garner and Michael von Ritt, and both these guys, they're really cool to learn from, okay? So moving along, we have Samurai Jiu-Jitsu, and this is by Grandmaster Shoto Tanemura. Now he gets into the more advanced part of the samurai sword, and as you can see, we get into the fundamental techniques, and then intermediate techniques, advanced techniques, and then he does samurai sword combat, and then samurai naginata and yari combat techniques, which is like, it's like the staff with the sword at the end of it. And then there's more about the histories and traditions, and then he gets into a lot of the law enforcement self-defense techniques for takedowns and stuff. And he really is cool. I have his Hambo technique as well, which is really good for if you mess with batons and things like that. He really teaches some good stuff in this. So Shoto Tanemura, he is a grandmaster. Everything he teaches, you know, front to back in here, it's all badass stuff. You can't go wrong, okay? More jiu-jitsu, Budo Jiu-Jitsu by George Kirby. All right, now George Kirby teaches everything from white all the way down to the 1st degree black belt, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. In my opinion, it's got a little bit of like that karate-esque kind of feel, but it's all geared towards jiu-jitsu, and there really is some great material in here. Taking the time to learn it was awesome, and you really get into the finer points of stand-up jiu-jitsu and then also groundwork jiu-jitsu, and he really does a good job of going all the way. And he's kind of funny. Most of his stuff that he taught was very entertaining, and it gave me a lot of really great insight into what I wanted to learn, you know, from jiu-jitsu. And so early on I got this, I trained it, I loved it, and I can't, you know, say enough good stuff about George Kirby. He was an awesome teacher. So Budo Jiu-Jitsu, really great addition to the arsenal of Japanese arts. And folks, I haven't even cracked. I still have 2 more big stacks to go to. I gotta cut this video because of the time frame, but I'm gonna come back in just a second and I will start showing the rest of these, and we'll get into the Ninjitsu and Aikido stuff here in a second, okay? So Z-Man signing off. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Japanese arts.